Welcome to the Olimoleague semifinals, guys. It's a best of 3. It's spawning here in the top right to kick things off. It's going to be Jin Air's Rogue.
In the bottom left has the red Protoss. He is classic.
So I would say that these two guys probably shift the title back and forth. But who do you think's the king of Protoss cheese right now? Hero or Classic?
Oh, I think it's always going to be Hero. I don't even care if Hero starts to do like worse than Classic, but at this point in time, Hero
Team Classic.
Hero.
I know, I'm saying I'm Team Classic.
Oh, you really? You are?
I mean, I think Hero actually has a better straight-up game than Classic, but while they're both really cheesy, to be clear, this is like a 60%, 40% split for me.
Really? I still put Hero as the cheesiest guy. So that's interesting. Classic has been the one going for mass oracles, which is a different type of cheese. So I guess maybe that's.
Is it really cheese if it becomes the meta though? Like if it's the
Not
standard
exactly.
thing to do.
So it's the type of cheese. It looks really stupid, but it's in the same vein. It's also like a macro. So like in a weird way, Classic's been playing more macro games against Zerg, but just mass oracle macro games.
I guess yeah, you're right in that regard too. But I don't know. I just regardless of him versus Hero in the measuring contest here, I think this will be really cool. Him versus Rogue. I mean, I'm already super hyped up for Rogue after watching him play a little bit earlier today, so I'm gonna be just blatantly favoriting him in the series. But Classic is seriously a guy who I feel like it's an on and off switch with him, right? It's not quite billowy levels of like inconsistency, but like when Classic wins really hard.
Yeah, it's a little hard to call a Classic. I still put him in the top 4 almost every tournament he plays in, so obviously still very good because everyone that plays in these tournaments is really good. We have the big contenders now that Kespa's gone, has been gone for a while. But it's still kind of wonky. Yeah, he killed him. It's one fell swoop. But it is still kind of hard to call Classic a very consistent guy. Just not really as impressive. I mean, Hero's not really consistent either, but because he does have these like breakout amazing performances, and our Toast gave him a lot of credit, and he did get second place in the semi or in Shanghai. Well, I guess he still has more of a prowess that Classic does not. I mean, Classic is a GSL champion, isn't he? But it's kind of forgotten, I think.
I was like saying Jakshi or Junior. Yeah. Who was it that was the GSL champion?
That was Jakshi.
Jakshi, yeah.
I mean, the less well-known ones, shall we say, I think are Sniper, Jakshi, and Seed. Like those are the guys that people are like, really? Oh yeah, you're right. Especially Seed. Like I don't think anyone really cared about those finals.
I feel bad because yeah, Seed. I really like Seed. I think he's actually got one of the funnest personalities out of a lot of the Koreans out there. So I was really sad when he kind of dropped his pro player status.
Yeah. There's just those finals were like, the real story was it was Slayer's last team league, and they didn't even do very well in that tournament, so.
Seed's in the army now, I believe, right?
Yeah, because he was tweeting about going, right? So probably. I'm not really sure. Anyways, Classic, I said, like maybe one of those kind of forgotten, like, oh yeah, right, because he never really reached to the pinnacles of like Zest or Sue, obviously, with 7 GSLs.
Classic is seriously a guy who I feel like it's
but he is still very good, just not as consistent as one would hope. I'm a lot more interested to see if he's consistently going for the triple Stargate because I saw a lot of that in another Korean league. But we didn't see that last week in the Olimoleague. He did go for regular PvZ strategies.
If you guys hear echo again, you may hear us echo for that. I'm trying to figure out why the fuck the player's not working, and it keeps echoing the stream because it's like trying to play the video even though I'm not asking it to. I don't know the fuck. Okay.
Oh, I don't.
I think it's good now. So yeah, if you guys hear like weird sounds in the background, it's because the player's starting up without me actually hitting play on it. Sorry about that. I just minimize. I keep forgetting you can just minimize this shit in the dashboard nowadays.
I love that you can mute tabs in Google Chrome too.
Yeah, that's actually really handy a lot of the time.
Yeah. Well, I was so disappointed in TwitchCon. That site has an auto player. Like, I feel like Twitch of all people Of all companies, you should really know that auto-playing is just not very cool, man.
I would agree with you on this, except they've really been dropping the ball. Their mobile app is fucking horrible, and they've been pushing it now to a desktop version. You know what's really annoying? If you click, like if somebody links a clip on Twitter, you click on it, and it takes you to the mobile version, it won't play. It'll show a white screen until you swipe left. Like, you can't get to the info page. I've complained about this before on stream. Like, there's just so many issues with the mobile player.
Yeah,
and,
they haven't been doing too well there.
I love Twitch, guys. Don't get me wrong. They've done great things and all that, but like dropping the ball.
Yeah.
Also,
oh, well.
if we can talk about this for a moment. Speaking of which, I just tabbed out to go check. If you browse Twitch right now by games, it shows StarCraft, not remastered, but StarCraft having 28,000 viewers, right?
Oh.
And I go to this, and there's no way that's the case. There's like less than a handful of people streaming it, and the highest stream is like the Muslim at 700. How?
What?
How does this have 28,000 viewers?
Well, there's like a ton of Korean streams that have like, there's one with 14,000 viewers.
Oh, you know what? I didn't know this was a thing. Look at the top left. It says English only. What the heck? When is that a thing? And why is that just checked like that?
In the top left? I don't even see that option.
Oh, in the browse
language.
thing. Language,
gotcha.
yeah. That's why it's not showing any of the other streams for me.
Oh, the Koreans are.
See, this is my complaints about Twitch. Like, why is that a thing? Why is that checked off when I've never had the option to set that?
Why was that automated for you and not for me? They know.
Yeah, why is it inconsistent like that? Exactly. Oh, I'm so tilted. I love Twitch, guys. I wouldn't live my life I live without Twitch, but lately it's been... Anyways, massive amounts of oracles out of Classic. We talked about this, right? Like, oh, it's pretty standard, it's pretty expected, blah, blah, blah. But I think as expected and standard as it is, it's still really hard to fight against this. When you handle this well, it looks goofy, and you're kind of like, why would a Pro Toss player ever go this strategy? But at the same time, it sometimes just wins in such a disgusting way.
Yeah, I'm glad to see they've gone for the triple Oracle, because it still hasn't, like, there's been a couple of games that Classic himself has played that have just been like, you know, okay, it's been figured out, like, maybe you want to stop that now. But for me, from what I see, because I don't get to catch SSL anymore, I still see him kind of stomping with it, like making it look really silly. Maybe not winning every time with it, not that abusive, but still making really silly games out of it. Rogue has been the guy, though, that's been able to deal with it. Okay. Push past the mass Oracle. He knows to get Infestors, to cover the Hydra army that's growing. But it's still something really silly to look at. And there's still the transition that you have to worry about. It's not just the mass Oracle. It's also the charge and the storm behind it.
Yeah, 4 Templar just warped in, so he's going to have plenty of energy by the time Storm's done. Oracle's, by the way, not committing too much, and I kind of like this too, just keeping that number high. Meanwhile, we did have some links actually slip past the force field. This is some real problems for Classic.
Yeah, that was a mistake. These now have charge, and they're very close to having +1. That would have been absolutely helpful.
That pylon was so clutch out of Classic. If he didn't put that down, more lings would have run through. So now he's got the wall on lockdown. There's one zone. it's ready and ready to go.
All the other Zelts are kind of embarrassed by how like eager it was.
You're like, he's like, dude, you need to calm. Can you be chill? Look, we got enemies at the gates, and you're freaking out. I need you to calm down. You're scaring everybody.
Hear it? Okay, so he holds against that potential Ling bust. Rogue has been getting a lot of free wins from Classic specifically by just sending Lings in, which is kind of silly, but it happens, I suppose. It's good to see that Classic has just been on point as well. At least he didn't let them through, I guess. It wasn't the cleanest cleanup, but it was not letting the Lings through. And now he has that +1. Oh, then now +1 carapace is done, so never mind. Useless.
Well, this is a pretty nice catch. You won't have to worry about this for just a little bit. Hopefully buying him time to save the base. Probe line couldn't have been saved. Still lost a lot of workers through this, but I think it's kind of okay for Classic. He's not really in a spot where the probe count is bad, so it's fine for now.
No, it's really okay. The armor supply isn't... It's not maxed out for Rogue, though, not because things are really even. It's because Rogue just went to Hive, full upgrades, all the tech available, and now maxing out on bigger and better units. So Classic kind of needs to catch up. Luckily, he already has a Fleet Beacon. He's already making Tempest. He already has triple Robo, so he's making a lot of Immortals. Like, it took him a little while to get to the anti-Ultra, anti-Broodlord composition, but it's going to be just in time, I think. Rogue is still going to wait for those Ultras to pop out, plating to finish, and by then Classic will have 6 Immortals, 6 Tempests? I don't know. Something like that.
Ooh, a lot of bandits get wasted on a pylon. Doesn't even take out the Robos. Barely saves them both, are you serious?
Classic uses Outrad.
I love this cannon too, by the way. This one little cannon is actually a huge deal for defending this wall.
Yeah. So Classic did see the hive, just not the tech.
Oh wait, what? No, both players making me... Oh my god, what the fuck? What?
You really Chrono boost those faster, man.
I'm so tilted right now. Both
That
players...
was good. He still doesn't see the... Oh no, he didn't see the Spire. Oh, he actually got in there with, I guess, a couple zealots beforehand. Just kidding. So he sees everything now. But I think he already knew the timing was around that, you know, not much has happened. 12 minutes. Yeah. So more Immortals on the way from the Robos. He was able to save. Maybe pull back on the Tempest production just because the Greater Spire isn't actually in play. So only
he
regular
hasn't
Spires.
gone too high into it either, but oh... This is what I was worried about. With the Robos going down, he's not going to be able to build more Immortals. And it's not like he's short in supply right now, but this does mean you're not building more of that front wall anchor. You're not getting that you know... Oh my god, Oracles can seriously kill Ultralisk? Are you serious?
Why
Sorry,
not?
completely lost my train of thought, because this shouldn't be a thing. But
I mean, they don't care about even armor, so...
Oh shit, you're right. No, wait, that's... Is it a spell?
I thought it was a spell.
I think it's a spell to activate the attack, but I think the attack's still an attack, isn't it? I actually have no idea. I'm asking, not telling.
I mean, I'm curious too, because I also remember trying to figure out if +1 affected the attack, and I didn't think it did.
I guess the best way you could tell is like if you went to the unit simulator and just had them attack a planetary with armor and a planetary without, and see which side's faster. I don't know. Damn. This actually... I feel like there's things... You know everything about StarCraft that you learn through something like this, right?
Oh, I absolutely know. I don't know. I know feelings of StarCraft, so I see like a dozen Oracles kill an Ultra. I'm like, sure, why not? But I don't know why that is the case.
Well, it has to, because look how fast they melt them, right? Like, there's no way that damage is, I don't know, deterred by armor and melts them that quickly.
I think that's why I thought they killed Larva so quickly. When you know everything else was in trouble.
Well, Ultra still have a lot of health at the end of the day, so whether they pierce armor or not. Zealot at the door was somehow okay for some of the links, but not all of them, so some slipped through to the main. This is actually going to be a lot of problems. The Archons can't fit through that gap.
He has really bulky units that are slow and he's used all the energy on killing Ultras, so the Oracle is usually great at cleaning up Ling. Run-bys can't clean this up.
That a juice.
Oh, Rogue's going for Neural Parasite. He's still... Oh, he has added in a Greater Spire. Okay, so those Corruptors get into Broodlords.
What is this command? A secret admirer tiptoes past BaseTradeTV and slips a Valentine on their desk?
There's been a Valentine command going around for some time. I didn't really...
Well, thank you, secret admirer. I really appreciate that.
See, I went to a school where if you brought cupcakes, you brought them for everyone. If you brought Valentine, you had to give everyone a Valentine. So.
Well, that's just dumb.
Well, on the other hand, I never really had that crushing blow of never getting a Valentine that probably 100% would have happened.
Yeah, but you know what's funny is like it was the complete opposite, and I definitely did. But you and I end up completely different people when it comes to like interacting with the opposite sex, right? Like.
So you're saying you got crushed emotionally as a young child, and you turned out the way you are?
Yeah.
Maybe this does. No, it's I didn't really.
Daddy
no one I
didn't
think really
love
cared
me.
enough. Oh, it's getting too real, man. So I could just be gone back to the Valentine's Day and Rifkin's waiting. Meanwhile, I'm getting 24 Valentines because everyone had to give everyone a Valentine.
I'm just sitting in the corner. I got my little cup out like a beggar on the street, like just one little Valentine. It can be the chalky little heart that you don't want.
Oh,
it's
no.
fine. I'll take anything. I'm so lonely.
They give you a chalk Valentine that said, "Let's just be friends."
Okay, so by the way, this is a pretty great drop for Rogue. This really screwed Classic up and took him out of position, but then, you know, gets a warp in and saves the day. But while this goes on, Rogue did advance towards Broodlords. So we had some Void Rays made. We already had the Tempest from earlier. I kind of feel like going Broodlords is like working counterintuitive to what he should be doing.
It is always a little suspicious, you know, they already have those Tempests, so you really want to go for Broodlords, but there is still that dynamic of Broodlings, you know, stalling out the High Templars, even focus firing the High Templars sometimes. You can get rid of that Mothership, which Rogue has been good about in the past, actually abducting the Mothership, getting rid of that Cloak mix-up.
What? These are all Queens going to the main this time.
Oh.
I guess he might actually be looking to clear up some supply here, right? Like, Queens are really not that useful at this point, so...
I mean, why bother bringing Queens with transfuses to your Ultras and your Broodlords so you can just, you know, sack them in the main base of your opponent?
Well, so like, I mean, there's something to say here where you should have transfuses for them, but my logic is maybe he needs those extra 3 Broodlords to break that front line. Like, that supply difference would be the difference of him actually winning the fight versus dying before he even gets to the fight, right? But the Queens are doing some fairly good damage, so it's not like this was a stupid drop. Kills an Oracle or 2, gets the gateways? Like, what?
Alright, so that was surprising. Sure.
This took Classic out of position, and the Broodlords actually push in to possibly kill this Nexus.
I still like he put him enough out of position, and his army is, like, maybe still too good. I mean, Rogue, he's down 50 army supply because Classic lost so many probes, yet filled the rest with army.
Yeah, Classic's actually on like this pretty gross, almost pure army composition compared to Rogue, who has way too many drones. But Rogue has also been a guy who's like very happy to build excess Spore Crawlers, build 50 Banelings at a time, right? Like, having less army supply, you know, actually, it's funny, I never really drew the comparison until now, but Rogue plays almost like Zagara does in co-op. It's like a smaller supply cap because he's got so many workers, but it gives him the freedom to build a lot more army.
You had to compare players to co-op commanders.
Actually, that's kind of cool. I wonder... Yeah, we should do that with like players and see which ones chat agrees with or disagrees with.
See, I only really know 3 co-op commanders, so I'm very not hopeful here.
Like, well, nobody plays Infested Terran, so Stukov's out.
Stukov, yeah, he plays a lot of DTs. Alright,
actually, I was kind of hoping we started seeing some abducts. He did have the extra Vipers made, kind of in the back line, but it's only 3, so he's really worried about those feedbacks, I think. But with the Spore Crawlers, you should be able to see those Templar have been kept in the back for the most part.
This is that kind of unbeatable army, not just because of the composition, which is correct, I think, for Classic, but it's also that it's so much extra army supply. Like, how is Rogue really going to be able to chip away at that?
Well, that's the thing. I think Rogue is going to chip away at this, but not in the sense of the front lines, which he is actually making happen. But like, 3 Ultras are starting to kill everything at home, and this is all the big production. Rogue, if he can kill this army, you have to consider what's there here about the 2 gateways and the Robo. 4 gateways in a row, excuse me. There's no remaking these units.
It's true, but it is the question. Like, can you beat this army that had an extra 50 army supply and probably just a compositional advantage because so many Void Rays, Archons, and Immortals? Like, I don't know if he can beat this. It still has Storms with it, too.
So I'm with you on this, right? I actually think Classic's in the better spot. 123 army supply.
Maybe get a couple more max outs, but he is also lacking money.
Right, but so my point of following this up is like I'm with you in terms of like I don't think Rogue can break this army, but there is that point where if he can, maybe Classic throws, maybe Rogue makes a really sweet move, right? But if he breaks this army, there is no remaking it for Classic. He's making a couple Void Rays because that's the only production center he has right now. Realizing how to hand this is getting to, he recalls. I think this is not just a good but a necessary move.
So he manages to save a full mining base, but he only has 24 probes, and he already has another mining base. So it's like, I mean, that still was probably worth it, because he dealt good damage, but time is not on his side. It might not necessarily be on Rogue's side either, though. That's the real trick, is that even if Rogue is maxed out to Classic, Classic still has decent army and army supply. I'm still kind of siding with the Classic's composition. He has the Archons and the Storms to cover, and he has the Void Rays to cover too. He has an only on Tempests. Just a good army.
What's really sick about this too, out of Rogue, or excuse me, out of Classic, is I love all these stasis traps, all these cannons. Because for Rogue, if he was able to do a Ling run by, like just get away with like 12 Lings or something, he would demolish most of this game. You know, it's a low Nexus that's mining, it's non-existent protection here, like. but there's no way he can possibly pull that off. Like, he cannot Ling Run by, and Ling Run bys would devastate Classic.
Yeah, that they would. Really upgraded. Oh, kind of unfortunate thing that the creep cleanup has not been on top priority. It doesn't affect the engagements like it does in TVZ, but this is a lot of free scouting for Rogue. He knows exactly where the army is without having like a changeling in here or something like that. Yeah. So he knows the entire right side of the map, which he still has another base he hasn't even taken yet. It's free.
I didn't really consider this earlier, and I don't know how viable it is, but he did research an Neural Parasite. And when we talk about Classic not being able to really replace things, well, don't lose your units to Neural, right? Like,
yeah, he got that a while ago, but he's not able to use it.
I don't even know what you put the priority of Neural on either. This is so tough. Like, there's not really a lot of detection. If you could somehow get rid of those 2 oracles, and there's only the observer left, like, Burrowed Infestors could be his worst nightmare.
That's what I was gonna bring up. A lot of Protoss also amongst, like, you know, missing Void Rays or Storm, something like that, they also forget to rebuild those oracles. And it's not about looking where the army is, although that is important. It's really a lot more about finding out if they have Burrowed Infestors, because that's what's gonna get the mass fungals, the neural parasites. That's when the
feedback becomes really important.
Yeah, that feedback, you need to be on point with feedback, so the Vipers come in an area you aren't expecting. One abduct could also ruin your life by killing the mothership. It's important to have that detection constantly on the army. If he could get rid of the oracles, he would have maybe a shot with the neural parasite. It's just Mass Corruptor Ultra, really? But up against Mass Immortal Void Ray.
He takes out the oracles, but they already cast Revelation. Starting to abduct some of the Tempest in too. Spore Crawlers and Corruptors getting those shots, getting those kills. Ultras are blocked out by the Spore Crawlers though. He's actually choking himself in here. Behind the Queens, this is not a good engagement.
Even if he wasn't, there's just so many Immortals and Archons on the ground, and the Fungals do not damage to be the real threat here. Are there still Storms available? There are at least, I think, one more. Oh, almost one more, but there's also Archons on the ground.
This whittled away at Classic, something we didn't think was going to be possible.
It did?
I still don't know that this is good enough for Rogue, but 88 Lings looks promising right now, and before it didn't.
Well, this army supply is just a lot more promising. The bank that Rogue had is a lot more promising. With 3,000, the bank is close to 300. He was able to make some type of army, and in this case, it's mass Ling.
There's so few units left. I just want him to Neural Parasite, like, literally anything. Like, you would remove half the army by Neural Parasite in, like, 4 units, you know?
Classic desperately needs warp-ins. He warps in back at home, brings the Archons to the front line. Ling Run buys. There's stasis traps, but it's not enough of them.
Well, pretty good stasis trap nonetheless.
He has no support for the stasis trap, so it would have to literally cover every single Ling to save that Nexus.
I'm starting to feel better and better for Rogue, truthfully here.
Yeah.
Bentley's hit some really good connects. Those Archons are still a problem, obviously, but without that Mothership providing that cloak, this is a lot easier to take these fights. He does start neuraling the Archons. He starts removing his opponents for play, and Classic can't do anything about this. GG! Oh, I'm all hot and bothered, guys. That was a sick game out of Rogue. A great game out of Classic, too. Don't get me wrong, but... Whew. Yeah, sweaty there.
Yeah, that was a long game. As like in Rogue, had he not had those extra bases, full mining bases with that huge bank, I think he loses to that mass army. Fortunate Classic never got any harassment in.
Well, guys, because that was such a long game, it has actually been like half an hour since our last ad break. We're going to play a quick ad here, and then we get into game number 2, ASAP. We'll see you guys soon. Alright, fresh, revitalized, and with some brand new water. Because I drank all the rest of that bottle during that last game. We find ourselves hopping into game number 2. This is still the semifinals for the Olimoleague. A lot of people really enjoyed that last game. Yo, if you guys are super loving this stuff, make sure you check out the Patreon for this, because this tournament would not happen without you guys, the fans. But okay, in the top right, he's up 1-0, ladies and gentlemen. The sickest Zerg player in Korea, it's Rogue.
In the bottom left, has the red Protoss. He's classic.
I know that there's the fans of various players, right? What though? That was a weird graphic glitch. I like Solar. I respect Solar. I think he's top tier player without a doubt. People love Dark. I can be on that Dark hype train.
Yeah.
But you will not convince me right now that there's a better player in Korea than Zerg, or for Zerg than Rogue. And
Yeah.
Partially, that last game, right, helps me sell this point, but I love this upswing that he's on right now. I feel like watching Rogue at the moment is like when we started watching Gumiho before he got on that 3-month tear of being unbeatable.
Yeah, it kind of started with the online leagues. You're like, oh man, this guy, like, you might have been away from the public eye for a while, but he isn't doing well. Although Gumiho was never away from the public eye. But he's starting to do really well in the online cups, and then he does well in a tournament, Shanghai, and now is, I think a lot of people are saying, might just be the best Zerg, because Dark doesn't have those astounding individual league results. Su is always like... Actually, I still think that Su is such a mystery. I've never been on the Su hype train, despite him going to so many GSLs, because I've always looked at the GSL finals and seen a very lackluster Zerg. Just like, how did he even get here? Some of the semifinal games were amazing, don't get me wrong. Like, Su was a great player, but just like, yeah, well, I'm so much more impressed by Rogue and Dark nowadays.
I'm impressed by Su in terms of, I think Su's got one of the better mental games when it comes to StarCraft. I don't mean because he's mind gaming his opponent or anything. I just think he's probably smart as, if not smarter than Rogue, but we just don't see him follow through the same way, you know? And yeah, he's a good player for sure. I really like Su. The fact that he's consistently top 2 GSL like 7 times running, like, there's a lot to be said about that. But you're right, like, I'm not on the Su hype train the same way I'm like the Rogue hype train right now. Like, I'm all aboard, dude. I bought my first class ticket. I'm talking to the conductor on the train, asking him questions about like the train. Like, this is, I really like Rogue.
Yeah. Me too. I like Classic as well, but he was unable to go silly Mass Oracle last game. He did transition, and I thought he transitioned well. He not only transitioned into Charge Out Archon Storm safely, Rogue was not in the mood to be aggressive that game, he also transitioned to late game pretty well. And he had that almost unbeatable Protoss army covered by Storms, Void Rays, Archons, Cloak, and you know detection also being key, and Rogue was still able to beat that back. Definitely a war of attrition towards the end there. Having a 3,000 mineral bank helped Rogue win that last battle a lot. Well, but just the wear and tear, Rogue managed to survive longer.
Well, there's something to be said about that point specifically and what led up to it, right? And it could happen in this game too, where Classic, like, it wasn't even that he got, there was no 100 probes killed in that game. He just didn't make a lot after losing a couple. Yeah. So it was something where maybe he should have been making more probes instead of army, or maybe the fact that he had that unbeatable army was because he didn't make more probes. But the point is, like, that was a game that could have gone very differently just based on the probe count, if nothing else.
Yeah, I would say that he lost, because he went down to 24 at one point, so he probably lost around 50, so like not the super high 100 count, but still 50, and you're right, he just never remade them, even though that game went on for 30 minutes. And he lost some of those probes very early on.
And I don't think it's a wrong move to not remake them either. It's just, it's a very different way to play, because you're either going for incredibly expensive concrete army that's going to be toppling your opponent's army supply because of that lack of probe count, or you get a lot of warpins and a lot of reinforcements and a lot of bank.
That almost worked. The one thing that was missing, in my opinion, was Classic, lack of harassment with anything at all. He had the mass, well, not even really mass, right? He had a decent number of oracles, and that was kind of it. He went to Charge Lot, and then he went into Tempests and Immortals, and there was really there's no Dark Shrine, there was no War Prism flying around that could have stopped Rogue from getting his own economy, because Classic was the only one taking economic blows. Rogue really wasn't, even though he lost bases, had 2 fresh ones in the bottom right. But it's a new game, it's Acolyte, Classic's map choice, easy 3 bases for a Protoss player here, well, for every race here. But usually more of a problem for the Protoss. And he is not going into Triple Stargate, but rather very quickly into Temple Archives. Yeah,
both players walk away from that too, without losing anything. But the Void Ray kind of going around cleaning up Overlords. You bring up the Templar Archives. I really like the idea of Storm. I love the idea of Charge Lots. I love the idea of what Classic is doing for a Blitz move. My concern, though, is that this is something that is still going to be hitting a Zerg player on 3, possibly 4 bases. There's like 70 drones. I don't think Army is going to be a problem for Rogue. So for Classic, will timing be good enough for this, right? Like, is this going to be enough of a surprise element that it gets here just before there's enough lings made? I think what's really important for Classic, too, with all this is not just that he cleared up Overlords. He killed almost all scouting for Rogue. So seeing this coming is really going to be difficult.
Well, if Classic is going to be aggressive with this, it's not too scary. It's 6 gateways, which is a decent amount. Don't get me wrong. It's charge +1, can be very snowbally.
Oh wait, it's not a hole in the wall. Never mind. I'll look at the wrong side of the wall. I'm so dumb.
Yeah, I was like, oh,
I thought there was a gap there between the forge and the gateway for sure, man.
Nah. But okay, continuing on my point, like I think there's got to be a second warp prism. Then maybe it gets a little more potent. But as you were saying, Rogue is already up to 70 drones. He should not be caught droning. He should only be making hits. He built an excess amount of queens too, so transfuses are going to be aplenty. Sniping the warp prism is going to be available.
Well, the oracle should have been here to support, like whether it's stasis traps or damage, and he just lost the oracles.
Yeah, that was a bit weird. They're just kind of chilling over there. You know, there's no banelings, but there is a baneling nest, and that's where maybe classic and a front assault could really do a lot of damage, or even with these like dual pronged attacks, because they're going to be based on charge lots.
Picking up that Archon was, I think, a mistake. He's screwing up his micro over here pretty badly, actually.
Oh, no.
That cost him not just the Archon, but the Warp Prism, and both could have gotten out alive, but he got a bit greedy. He comes in for round 2 and a new Warp Prism, but the first attack already failed.
I really feel like if he had gotten 6 warp-ins, and then 6 more warp-ins, right, on either another field, another base, or with that army, I think it was a bit of a snowball. You know, it might be 1-1 for Rogue, but he doesn't have any banelings right there. That could have been worse, a lot worse, but instead it goes great for Rogue. He gets a cancel on the 4th base, starting to pop all these stasis traps I guess maybe for future use, but Rogue's actually looking towards a hive right now.
Ooh, bit of a shuffle over here too. Archons and Zealots over here. He did warp in some preemptively to be on this side, so Rogue can't simply respond with just queens. He has to be in 2 places at the same time, and it's not working out so hot for him. But drones are pulled, and not a lot's actually dying here other than spore crawlers. Classic's taking such a long time just to break the static defense.
But this is kind of like 6 more Zealots, and Lings, even if they're upgraded, are going to have a little bit of trouble. The Zealots kind of got fully surrounded. They were focusing on the hatchery, however, and it's really not quite reaching that point. The Archon's still alive, take out so many Lings, however, and another attack on the front line. Yeah, this is looking better. I think if he had Banelings, it'd be such an easier cleanup, but Rogue underestimating the follow-up attacks, perhaps. Having trouble, a lot of trouble.
So he's only going to lose 1 base for now. And keep in mind, he did pull drones, so it's not like he's low on that worker count. But the problem still is, like as you mentioned, it's not banelings, so cleaning this up is difficult. The banelings are only just now being made, and I don't think there's enough of them.
I think Rogue just played way too greedy, you know, like never making any banelings. Yeah, the Archons were the flashy part of that attack, you know, the pickup micro, the splash damage, but if he had banelings, he is only dealing with the Archons 90% of that time. I think it's game. I think it's snowballed too much.
Curious on the hive tech. You're right. Yeah. GG. Classic ties it up. 1-1. All right then. Get some zombie up cat action in the background too. Oh my God! Is that? Look at it's the arena.
Place your bets.
All right, well, we're gonna get game number 3 coming up. We're not gonna play commercial break. While you enjoy staring at our cats, I'm gonna do a quick shout out. I don't remember quite where we left off, so I'm just gonna go top to bottom here, guys. Thank you very much to Johnson Rod 80 for the Twitch Prime sub. Welcome to the family, dude. If Only Queens Had More Range came back for 14 months. If only. Thank you as well. Hemrickby just hit 12 months as well, so you qualify for a Partoof. Nexikuro, thank you for the 6-month resub. Walgren 78 for 10 months. Celio Cantos for 18. I love the smell of StarCraft 2 in the morning. Good Riddance for 9. Bronze Saint SE2 for 18. And I think you got Mech Steel 42, but just in case you didn't, thank you for the 9-month resub, dude. That should catch us up on everybody. But we're waiting on Rogue to pick the map, and hopefully it won't be too long.
Only got
Your cats are so cute, man.
Well, they're so cute together.
So isn't there like that thing where like your dad didn't want you like having the cat because like you'd steal it or whatever?
Yeah, my dad attempted to have Blazer as his own, but Blazer, he likes my mom more.
So I have this theory, based on my own experience with my cat, right? And I don't think it's so far-fetched. Cats can sense loneliness and all that. Oh my God, it was like a hug turned into a kill, and it's like. Your dad is just like not the loneliest person in the house, so he doesn't get the cats, which in turn would then make him the loneliest person in the house, so eventually he'll get a cat.
That is absolutely a true statement. My dad is the one going out and being social and doing stuff.
Oh, Apollo's such a baller, dude.
Also...
Apollo's like the big brother. I love him. I'm jealous.
He is. You like clean him, and it's so cute, and just a boo.
Let me show you how to cat.
Yeah, but it's also that Blazer was just hand raised by a middle-aged woman, so he's kind of used to that, you know.
All right, guys, we're hopping into Odyssey for game number 3. Things are tied up now 1-1, and the winner of this will go on to the finals. The other side of the bracket still has a live Incest waiting, so you've got a lot more awesome Korean StarCraft coming at you. But for now, we got to find out who wins this game. Wait, why is this on the wrong scene? One sec. There we go. It's like everything disappeared. All right, spawning here in the top left. It's going to be the blue Zerg player, Rogue.
In the bottom right as the red Protoss. Classic.
So what's kind of interesting, actually, is Rogue obviously, like, without a doubt, lost that game, mostly in part due to greed, right? But at the same time, you could argue that it was that kind of greed and that kind of play that is what won him game number 1. Granted, it's so much different degree and there's a lot of different factors involved, but it's really funny watching how dynamically different that could be. And what I loved most, obviously, was Classic pulling the win there shows that he can do some cool stuff too. The Warp Prism failed miserably on the initial attack. The second one was so sick. The fact that he like preemptively warped in 2 Archons before going in, the split attack, like there was a lot of things he did just so right as the Protoss player that even if Rogue wasn't being greedy, I think he still would have gotten away with.
The best thing Classic did was listen to the Protoss mantra, you know, if your all-in doesn't work, just all-in again.
Yeah. It's a classic mantra after all.
Hey, no, but seriously, it's a danger that I guess Rogue forgot about. You certainly play enough games versus Protoss as a professional player, and you realize that is very scary. Especially with charge lots and Archons, and he did not take it seriously enough. Well, that's game. Third game is your last chance, but I still have a lot of faith in Rogue. I think he is overall doing better than Classic. Just 1 lapse of judgment last game.
So I don't want to answer this one for you, but we're trying to confirm the name of your cats.
Doing a terrible job of it.
So you got Apollo, the cute white one. You got Nugget, the grayer-ish one. You got Blazer, that cute little bugger you guys just saw. And then, hang on, I think I remember the last 2. You just said them earlier. One's Baby, because you shoot Baby, right? And then...
I used to.
Lion
King.
Fuck. Yeah, I know,
If you went to Lion King, how is it taking so long?
Because I know it's the girl lion, I can't remember the name right now. Nala.
There we go. Nala is such a beat-up old girl. That's
you know what? Now the reason that came to me too, like I'm going through my brain scanning, right? And I for some reason thought of that picture where that kid drew Nala really poorly, and then the artist tried to draw the realistic version of that really poor drawing. And that's
okay.
Ooh, Overlord speed coming down pretty quick out of Rogue, by the way. I mean, I guess we didn't really talk about it. We showed you guys. You skipped to the 3rd base for the gold. This is actually something we've seen happen so many times. I don't think it's that special or that crazy or that different. But the Overlord speed I like a lot. I think scouting is really, really valuable against a player like Classic because we've talked about him being potentially cheesy, whether you want to measure that up to hero or otherwise. Having the information to know what he's doing is huge.
Right. I think it's important to just see the gold base, of course, but also see what's coming off that gold base, because there are 2 very different ways to play. There's the all-in version, and then there's the macro version. I
need to criticize the way you just classified this in chat, by the way, for your cats. Apollo equals a white nugget. What?
A gray Blazer equals orange.
It's like, this is so confusing to read, and I know what you're talking about. Yeah, where's the Oxford comma in this situation? To whom? Alright, so one of the overloads goes down. That's actually a pretty awful supply block for Rogue. Not at a timing that's devastating, but still annoying nonetheless. Second overlord's still going to be up and running, and hopefully we'll scout sooner than later, because, well, it's whatever to see the Twilight Council. He didn't see the Dark Shrine that came down with it.
And the Dark Shrine DT drop build isn't as typical as it once was. You now have a couple different options.
Even if it's not DT, it's just the knowledge of its Archons versus, say, like, early Charge or Resonating Glaives, right? Like,
well, exactly. So I saw the Twilight Council. Did he see it spinning and researching? Because that's going to be the difference of like, oh, it's a Dark
No, he
Shrine
said
drop
nothing.
and
He said
oh,
nothing.
it's just a depth. So this could be a little deceiving. I feel like Zerg players are going to be getting Spore Crawlers anyways, just sort of like, oh, well, there's the option, but he's not. So this could have been a really, really, really bad misread. Really, really bad.
Well, catches the Adepts at least.
Like if, like it should be at least one, right? Like somewhere. But if he really thinks it's only Adepts, then
No, he
that
doesn't
would be
have.
a waste of minerals. Okay, there we go.
The Overlord gets a brilliant scout, and that's again large part due to the speed upgrade. I don't think he would have gotten in there without it. So timing for this is essential. Very nice, and he's still making more army units too. Ooh,
That is 10 seconds later, and that base is probably dead.
Yo, I really like the spine positioning, by the way. I didn't even know you could squeeze this in over here.
Yeah, only one DT, we would attack that.
Of course, the Spore Crawler finishes up in just a sec.
Isn't done. There's Banelings.
Oh, manual detonation. Takes care of the DTs. Rogue, you're so good.
I saw that comment. I'm surprised that Classic didn't. Let me just bulk up all my DTs in one position against Banelings.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, it was not the greatest attack of all time anyways, even if the Banelings didn't quite take them out, because the Spore Crawler was finishing. I think the Queen's have the transfuses ready to go. But this this is good for Rogue to start, but at the same time, so was last game, right? He deflected that first Warp Prism like a joke. Now he gets to go a little bit offensive. His own drop Overlord now coming in with some lings. Easy pylon snipe. Ooh,
Rogue,
a lot of links to the front door too.
Pretty good about counterattacking and constantly using his lings in an aggressive manner. So a Stalker does hold up for a little while, and Immortal doesn't really help out, and they break through. It would maybe be worth continuing into that natural. Main base gets a Stalker. Goes for the Adept kills instead.
This
so
wasn't that hot of an attack. I thought it'd be much better than it was.
Yeah, it was a handful of Adepts and a single Stalker, I think it was. Maybe a couple Stalkers, but yeah, that was a lot of links. Deflects the other Warp Prism, though. The other Warp Prism drop.
I love that these guys are so proactive, though. Like, both of them are attacking in two places at once. Both of them are dropping and, like, run by. Like, this is a very action-packed, slow, but action-packed game so far.
Nothing decisive has occurred yet. No way, it is slow. We're probably going to go to a fourth base soon enough. He does have Hydralisks on the way. No super fast hive this time. And no immediate death to charge that Archonal in either. Oh, there are the Hydras.
Good wall off, by the way. Really good wall off.
Well, this is maybe going to turn into more typical PvZ, so not Mass Oracle, not Fast Hive, not super late game, but rather really about that Ling Baneling Hydra push onto the Protoss player.
I like the way Rogue pulled those Banelings back, by the way. Like, he could have much easily faster cleaned up the Adepts, but said, like, look, I'll just let you shoot them a couple times and pull them away. Keeps the Banelings alive, doesn't waste them, and the Queens clean up that main. You know, the worker count really has not been much in terms of damage for either side, 2 versus 15 kills, but both players are consistently attacking the worker lines, so good defenses out of both players.
Yeah. Rogue would absolutely love to take care of that Warp Prism and just get that off of his mind, and maybe he'll do so with these Hydras popping out, but still alive and still being quite the bother.
Well, I think the Hydras, if not for the Warp Prism, they're just going to help deal with the Adepts too a lot better. Right now it's relying primarily on Queens and awkward lings, but Hydras have that extra damage. They've got that, what looks like a drone hat. I can't stand the way the skin looks, to be honest, but he does hold once again. 11 drones die this time, though, so this one's a little bit more effective than the last.
Oh, nice snipe on that Overlord drop. Could have been a lot deadlier. Wouldn't have +2, but still made it got into the main base.
Well, this one actually ends up hitting. That gets about 11 probes. Not too bad. Of course, it's not until the +2 melee's done that you can one-shot probes.
I mean, Classic got 26 drones, so it is still favoring Classic in that regard. So, and he was able to save that main base, which is pretty important. The game continues on. Classic does have High Templars, but no Storm. Did he think he already started it? He's banking so many minerals and gas. Like,
there's no reason not to.
Minerals with so much gas. Like, why would that ever do that to me? English, please.
I feel like there's no reason not to get it, though. Like, especially if you have the money for it.
I really feel like he thought he already started or something. Like, this is like leaving High Templars as High Templars means that Storm is nearly finishing or is finished.
Man. Classic doesn't often make mistakes, but this is a big mistake to make.
Oh, he's gonna be like, I'm ready. Let's take this fight. He's gonna press that T button and nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah. Can't stop the Banelings. Yeah, I mean,
oh,
God.
God.
Oh, wow, he just got the
Templars anyway.
Well, it doesn't matter if he had Storm now, yeah. And
well,
of course, this base
good
gets canceled here. Rogue is just now doubling the army supply. And this isn't all just silly fodder units like Lings. There's Hydras in this.
You know what's really funny? Is like you're in one of these situations where, for Rogue, you see High Templars not turning into Archons, so you just assume they have Storm. He might be a little hesitant to take a fight, seeing High Templars. But he just killed a bunch, so I think he should be looking for a fight. And Classic still doesn't know.
I can't believe, like, this is... We've seen people forget Extended Thermal Lance. We've seen Graviton Catapult. I don't think I've ever seen Storm like this, though.
Even if he had Storm, this is a terrible way to take a fight. GG.
All right, Rogue gonna advance on to the finals. Very happy about this.
Well, I'm excited to see who he faces. I think it's gonna be Zest. The Rogue versus Zest finals.
Well, that would be cool. I'm cheering for Alive, so...
Oh, all right then.
I think Alive versus Rogue in the finals would be super dope, especially if Alive plays mech, but... Then again, Rogue's been dismantling Gumiho, so he could probably dismantle Alive. I don't know. We'll go to commercial break, guys. We'll let you decide who you're really hyped for. Let us know in chat whether you want it to be Alive or Zest who goes on to fight against Rogue. But either way, we'll be back with a brand new best of 3 after the break. So stick around. We'll see you soon. Also, yo, hit that follow button if you haven't already.